everybody! Those of you who watched my student bullet journaling video know that I promised that I would be doing an entire video dedicated to note-taking. My goal for this video is to show a variety of different methods of note-taking. I can classify my notes into three big categories: lecture notes, reading notes, and homework. I'm going to start off with homework and lecture notes, and I just recently bought a new notebook by the company Clairefontaine. I got this notebook mostly because I want to transition into using grid paper for my notes. I love bullet journaling and using dots for my bullet journal spread, so I feel like I can be a little bit more organized by switching my school notes from lined to grid. I'm currently in university for a business program that is very heavily math-based, so I have a lot of homework questions to do each week. Every time I do homework questions, I like to write down all of the questions that I have to do at the top of the page. Everything that you see in pink has been written with my Tombow twin tone marker, and then everything in pencil was written with my new Tombow monograph mechanical pencil. Even though this may look like a regular mechanical pencil, it's not, because the way you release the lead in this pencil is by giving it a shake. Love, love, love. Because I do take a lot of math-based courses, I have a lot of formulas that I have to learn and sometimes even memorize, so I included the sticky note at the top of the page that underneath has the formulas that I need to do these homework questions, so that if I need to see the formula, I can just flip it open and reference it. But the real aim is for me to learn these formulas, so by having it covered up, it's almost like challenging myself to not look underneath the post-it. You could also dedicate an entire page to a formula sheet like I did in my student bullet journal video. All my homework always gets done in pencil, and then I go in with a different colored pen to correct any mistakes once I check my answers. If a question isn't correct, I would cross it out and obviously write the correct answer beside it and find where I made that mistake. With math, it's critical for my learning and understanding to be able to see how I made errors and how to correct them. And then if you really wanted to go crazy, you could use the sticky note at the top of the page to write down any areas after you've completed all your homework that you need to review. And there you have that review power rule. So then when I'm studying, I know exactly which areas need more of my attention. This next page is a sample lecture notes page. Whenever I'm doing notes by hand in lecture, realistically, I only ever use one pen. As a result of the fact that you kind of have to take notes fast in classes, I like to use arrows. A lot of arrows. My friend Nadine in high school always used to tease me about my use of arrows in my notes, and I don't blame her, because sometimes it gets a little crazy, but I do find the arrow system is the best way for me to organize my thoughts when there's tons of information getting thrown at you. I used a marketing case discussion lecture as an example for this page. Also, it might seem like a simple tip, but always date your pages. It only takes one binder to explode from fullness for you to realize how important those dates are to keeping your notes in order in a time where they do not wish to stay in order. For my reading notes, I'm going to try using a new notebook from the line Rhodia. As you can see, it also has grid style paper, but the difference with this notebook is it has this nice column to the left side of the page here where I can put page numbers. When I'm making notes for readings, I love keeping track of what page number my notes have come from, so that if I want to read up more information about a topic, I don't have to be looking for it. I know exactly where it is. Because the paper quality of this notebook is so good, I, instead of using a regular pen, am going to use this new pen by Bic called the Intensify pen. It reminds me of the Pitt Artist and the Micron pens that I love using in my bullet journaling, so I kind of want to bring that same style to my notes. I always orient headings to the left side of the page and indent any point form notes. Once I complete all my notes, I always go back in with the highlighter and highlight any keywords and or definitions. I also like to use quotation marks for any direct quotes that I take from the textbook. Weeks later, when I have to reread my notes, I like to go back in with a different colored pen, and what I do is I add in any extra information, especially if I come across something in my notes that I don't understand. So here, for the 10% condition of sampling distribution for proportions, I may add a little arrow and elaborate that n must be larger than 10% of the population. I want to point out that I'm not just adding color here for the sake of adding color. One thing that's really helped my ability to memorize a large amount of information is to make all of my notes look a little bit different from each other. So changing the color that I use to highlight, or adding arrows or a graph randomly, or another sort of visual is a really great way of differentiating each page in my mind. So when I'm asked to recall information on a test, I just find it a lot easier. And that is it for all the handwritten notes. In high school, I didn't really ever have to change up my note-taking style for my courses because everything worked on paper. But when I came to university, I realized sometimes making notes is just not possible when you've got a lecture that has 100 or so slides and there's accompanying graphs and formulas and other tidbits of information. So because of that, for certain courses where the prof does provide slides, I usually do print out the slides. This particular one was printed in color, but you could definitely print them in black and white. And I do try my best to maximize how many slides I can have on a page. But the benefit of this is you can stop focusing on recording information and instead turn your attention to learning it. I'll still have a pen out just to add any extra information that the prof adds in his or her lecture. And I also make use of sticky notes to alert me to any slides I think are worth reviewing. And last but not least, let's move to digital notes. For certain classes where not even my arrows can save me from the fast pace of a lecture, I do my notes online. Even though I like Microsoft Word much better than Google Docs, I do use Google Docs for note-taking because I can have it all saved kind of in the cloud. I mean, I guess you could do that with Apple iCloud as well, but this is something that I can just log into from any computer that has internet access, and I can always easily find any notes that I'm looking for. These notes were for another case discussion on marketing. This was for Rosewood Hotels, I think. Again, I like to use different colors to separate headings. I use point forms and arrows and other things to add extra information. And the internet makes it really easy to even add visuals. I can take this Rosewood Hotels Resort logo and drag it into my document. And this would be a great way of adding a source of differentiation to my page. I mean, it's nothing too special, but I do always remember to date everything and to make sure I know which class the notes are for. If you wanted to then read your notes later, you could add a comment like right here. Maybe I'd be wondering, what's Rosewood's current brand? And there you have my note-taking video. I hope there was some value there for you guys. I think the most important thing about note-taking is just to find a system that works for you and realize that what you do for one course may not be something that you can do for another course, because the nature of the material might just work better in a different note-taking style. I'd love to hear in the comment section down below your #1 note-taking tip, both to help me find ways to improve my note-taking skills and to help all of you. I will see you all very soon with a new video, and until then, bye everyone.
Hello, Ramona. I can't shake the simplest feeling beyond the ghost. We stand on the opposite shore. Hello,